Welcome in everyone, this is Sean with MTG808 Jr. and today we are going to be continuing our Artisan Deck Seeds video series where we are talking about some of the build-around cards that we foresee being put to use in the upcoming Artisan format. If you've been following the channel, you know that we've been running youth standard pauper tournaments, and we are transitioning over to Standard Artisan, which means commons and uncommons are legal. Again, ban list is Cauldron Familiar, Cavalcade of Calamity, Persistent Petitioners, and Gates Ablaze. Alright, let's jump into these videos. So, the first deck seed that we've got here is kind of a... this archetype has been called, the life gain archetype has been called Soul Sisters in the past, because there was Soul Attendant and Soul Warden that basically had this ability that whenever a creature came into play, you gained a life. And we're calling this deck Soul Brothers because while Soul, the previous enablers were females in the picture, now all the enablers are males in the picture. So Soul Brothers is what we're deeming this archetype, and basically it's a life gain deck. I mean, who doesn't love gaining life, right? Healer's Hawk, MVP from the last Standard Pauper format, and we get some big upgrades with the uncommons. So you have two dudes that basically do the thing where you gain life when a creature comes into play. Daxos slightly better, bigger body, of course, because its toughness is equal to your devotion to white, but he also triggers when a creature dies as well as enters the battlefield. So you have all these little ways of gaining life with these guys, or with Healer's Hawk and Soul Mender, and then you have a bunch of payoff cards with a Johnny's Pridemate, getting a +1/+1 counter each time you gain a life. Angel of Vitality says if you would gain a life, you gain that much +1, and then it becomes a 4/4 flyer if you have 25 or more life. Gideon's Company here, let's just go ahead and craft this. So Gideon's Company here is a 4 mana, 4 mana, 1 white, 3 colors for a 3/3 human soldier. Whenever you gain life, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Gideon's Company. And then you can pay 4 mana to put a loyalty counter on target Gideon Planeswalker. However, there is no Gideon Planeswalker that is legal in Standard Artisan. This that ability was meant for the... it was in the Gideon Planeswalker deck. So this card is a little hard to come by in paper. If you really want to play this sweet-looking deck, I would highly recommend you try and order the card individually. Some of our youth players may be unfamiliar with ordering cards, but as long as you have some sort of electronic payment, right? Ask mom or dad if they'll make this order for you. You can order cards online, and they're relatively cheap. Of course, I would recommend the Planet's website if you want to get it quickly. If you want to get it a little bit cheaper but wait a little bit longer, you can order from the mainland. TCGplayer.com is probably the best place to order cards online. Okay, so Gideon's Company, great payoff card if you are willing to go find this hard-to-find card. I'm not sure what the cost is. It's probably like $1 or $2. Maybe somewhere in that range. But so this guy comes into play. If you have an Impassioned Orator or a Daxos or a Soul Mender or a Healer's Hawk ready to gain you life, it immediately becomes a 5/5, and then it continues to scale up from there. The other big payoff card here is Twin Blade Paladin. I believe this is also from one of the Planeswalker decks, the Ajani Planeswalker deck, I believe, from M20. But this one says 4 mana 3/3. Whenever you gain a life, put a +1/+1 counter, and then if you have 25 or more life, it gains double strike. So not only does it become a giant monster, but it also gets double strike and just whacks the opponent. Makes it very hard for them to trade effectively with, because you will deal first strike damage as well as follow-up damage. So they're basically just chumping it over and over again as long as you have it online. So this creature package, I think you can easily just jam 4 of each of these, and then that leaves you with 32 slots, and then you got a couple flex slots for figuring out your what spells you want to have, like God's Willing, or whatever else you want to play. But that is the first deck seed of this video, calling it Soul Brothers. The next one that we have for you is we're just calling it Flyers Payoff, because the two build around cards here are Rally of Wings and Empyrean Eagle, that give you payoff for having a bunch of creatures with flying. And there are a ton of creatures with flying that are very cheap. Right? We have Healer's Hawk, of course, MVP, Fairy Guidemother, Loyal Pegasus. If you want to go up into the 3 mana or 2 mana ones, you know, you've got War Screecher has a relevant ability if you can put Grateful Apparition to use. Probably not in this deck. As far as cheap flyers in white, you have those. Cheap flyers in blue, of course, you have Spectral Sailor. And I passed by it earlier. There we go. Fairy Miscreant, which if you play 4 of, you might get a trigger off of it. And I don't know if you'll play enough spells to make Terramander worth it, but it is an option if you do skew more towards spells. So basically, this deck is just dump your hand into play. You know, play a 1-drop on turn 1, play 2 1-drops on turn 2, and then follow it up with one of your flying payoff cards here in Rally the Wings or Empyrean Eagle. It's pretty straightforward. You can play some amount of interaction on top of this, and then you have a very linear, powerful deck. 2 colors is rough when you're trying to play a ton of 1-drops, so you might want to try and skew most of your early plays towards one color or the other. Yeah. But I think that this is an aggro shell that has a lot of potential. If they don't have flyers, they won't be able to block. And then if you just have a big outburst of damage with Rally of Wings or whatever, this deck could probably also play Staggering Insight. The new card from Theros. Oh, it does not have the word flying on it, so it will not be in this filter. But Staggering Insight right here. Of course, the Aura enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Perfect follow-up play to a 1 mana 1/1 flyer. So that is the second deck, Blue-White Flyers. There's got to be a better name for that, right? Like Air Force or something like that. If you can think of a better name for this awesome-looking deck, then post it in the comments. Let us know what you think. All right, the last deck that we have for you in this video is Simic Flash. We have Frilled Mystic, which is an MVP in real standard. And then, of course, Spectral Sailor has Flash. Brineborn Cutthroat has Flash. Fairy Vandal does have Flash. It doesn't reward you in the same... So Brineborn Cutthroat, 2 mana, 2/1 with Flash. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborn Cutthroat. So, you know, if you play Spectral Sailor or Opt during your opponent's turn, then it gets a +1/+1 counter. And then the thing about the Flash strategy is that since you can play all your threats at the end of their turn, that means that you get to leave up your mana to have counter spells, such as Frilled Mystic. You know, Omen of the Sea is a good cheap one. So Tiny is some good interaction. And then, of course, you are probably going to be playing Opt, as well as Unsummon is definitely a good option here. So, you know, maybe you just want to be mono blue because the list that we have it right now only has Frilled Mystic as the green cards. Let's take a closer look at these green cards and see what you would want to play in this archetype. Not a whole lot. Giant Growth is a consideration. Giant Growth just incredibly efficient, right? Lets your dudes, you know, can save a dude in combat, or if they point like a removal spell at it, you can save it real fast. Oh, hi Lemon. And then, yeah, not a whole lot in green. So maybe you just want to play this deck mono blue. Frilled Mystic is very powerful, but it looks like there isn't a whole lot to supplement this archetype in green. Like, I do think Giant Growth adds a lot to the deck, but 2-color mono bases in this format are really underwhelming. Oh, I guess another card that green adds is Growth Spiral. So there it is. So Growth Spiral is an instant, allows you to put a land into play. I wouldn't recommend playing this unless you have like more up your curve than just Frilled Mystic. Like the standard blue-green flash deck that played Growth Spiral and Frilled Mystic also had Night Pack Ambusher on 4, which unfortunately is a rare, and there's no real replacement for it in the format, at least not one that has flash. And then they played Nissa as well on their top end, which, you know, if there is some sort of like big thing that's worth tapping out for, you know, like Shark to Crab is a pretty heavy hitter that has a very good activated ability. Yeah, I'm not sure what else you would really be excited tapping out for. So, you know, maybe this deck just wants to be mono blue, just mono blue flash. So let us know what you think. Would you build it Simic for Sweet Sweet Frilled Mystic and Giant Growth, or would you build it mono blue? Or am I missing something in green? Let me know. But yeah, this is the final deck for this deck seed video. Let us know what you think in the comments. What deck are you most excited to play in the upcoming Artisan format? I know that our youth players are getting super excited about playing Artisan. Very curious to see what they end up bringing to our first tournament, which is February 2nd. I should have more details for you off the top of my head, but I don't. Mike has been scheduling the tournament, so February 2nd. I believe that one is at, I want to say, Westside Comics. I'm pulling it up here. My internet has been very slow today, so bear with me. But yeah, very excited to see what the kids bring, and I'm sure that Artisan will be a recurring format on Arena, hopefully. So if any of you non-youth players out there are loving Artisan, let us know why, let us know who you play with, and let us know what you think about the decks. All right, yeah, February 2nd, I'm pretty sure it's at Westside. I'll put it, if it's not, I'll put it in the description of the video. All right, that is it for today. Thank you for stopping by, and I will catch you next time. Peace.